Hey, ICC friends, it is your girl Xaviera, and welcome to our Friday night chat. If this is your first time joining us, I am Xaviera. I am the CEO and editor of Ice Cream Conversations. And usually, what we do is we get together for about an hour and we talk about the top stories in entertainment and celebrity news. So, if this is your first time tuning into tonight's chat, I would love to welcome you in. Please share tonight's chat with a friend to let them know that we are on live. You are free to leave your comments and we will highlight some of your comments on the screen. But let me know where you're checking in from and please share tonight's chat before we get started. So let me just do some things I need to do to get things going. So a lot has happened since the last time we were together. Um, a lot has, in this particular climate, so much has happened in just 1 week. So tonight I have some updates for you on some very big cases that the whole country is really paying attention to. I want to tell you about some people who are apologizing. I want to tell you about some shout outs that turned into some mess. And I also want to talk about tonight bow and arrow Brandon. So we are going to have a good time tonight. I am so glad to have all of you joining me. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want to do before we do anything is take a moment to recognize that today is Breonna Taylor's birthday. It's what would have been her 27th birthday. And, it's really crazy because this beautiful young queen should be celebrating her birthday with her family. But instead, they are mourning and they are fighting to get justice for Breonna. In case you have not heard, all three officers who entered her home on a no-knock warrant at the wrong house and dropped 8 bullets into her, killing her in her own home and attempting to charge her fiance. The charges were later dropped, but all 3 of those officers are still on the loose. And that's exactly what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it on the loose. They have not been charged. They have not been held accountable. And, today is her birthday. So on all of my social medias for Ice Cream Convos, I have posted a link to a petition. And I would love for all of you to sign that petition in honor of Breonna. If you can make a donation towards the fight to get justice for Breonna, that would be even more fantastic. But right now, all I'm asking you to do is to sign a petition to honor this queen as we continue the fight to get justice for Breonna. So, it's just so heartbreaking because she is 27 years old. Like, she's the same age as my oldest 2 kids. So that could have easily, when you think about it from a mother's standpoint, it's like she could have been my daughter. So I do not take this lightly. And I would ask that all of you do not take it lightly as well. Please do what you can and just sign this petition. If you are in a position where you can donate, please donate. Okay. So that's that on that. So I want to, let me take Breonna off. Okay. So I wanted to open up tonight's chat with a message. And I know tonight may sound like I'm a little complaining, but I have seen so many things this week. I have been so triggered this week. I have been so overwhelmed this week. And there's a few things that I need to get off of my chest before I get into my commentary. The first thing I want to do is address my fellow bloggers. First things first, don't call me no blogger no more. I know I came in the game as a blogger. I do have a website, and typically I am classified as a blogger because I did not go to school for journalism. I started my own website and I deliver celebrity news and entertainment. But from this point forward, I would appreciate, with all due respect, if you love your girl and you want to show me some love, please do not call me a blogger. I don't know what is going on out here in these internet streets, but actually I do know what's going on. I do get the point that as bloggers, especially with your social media pages, especially with your websites, you need engagement, you need clicks, you need followers and all that to make an impact and to grow your business and so on and so forth. But I saw a lot of y'all out here this week living absolutely foul. And I don't want to be the blogger police, but I just got to call a spade a spade. I have seen so many bloggers posting false information. I have actually gone in and told y'all the information was false, but you left it on your site and you left it on your social media pages because it was getting a lot of engagement, because it was making people outraged. I saw bloggers still posting that looking ass thou and David Chauvin's wife, or what's his name, Derek Chauvin's wife, were still brothers and sisters. We all know they're not brothers and sisters, but people were still sharing that. And people who are responsible for giving information to the public were still sharing that, knowing that information is false. And I don't understand. I keep saying I don't understand, but I actually do, but it's sad. I have seen so many media outlets, Black media outlets. I don't know what this new trend is. I know that we are living in perilous times. I know that there is a lot going on that we have to digest. I know that there are protests. I know that people are outraged. I know racism is at an all-time high. I know that, people are protesting. I know that the police are still at the protest, still brutalizing people who are out there protesting against police brutality. So I am fully aware that all of this is going on, but I cram to understand why some social media pages continue to post pictures and videos of racists showing out, of people being brutalized with no plan of action attached to it. None. So if I come to your page, I'm gonna come to your page and I'm gonna see a police officer beating down a young Black queen, and y'all just posted it just for us to sit at home and be like, what the heck? What the heck? What? Oh my gosh. To incite anger in us, to make us feel helpless, to make us feel like, tell me a plan of action. Don't just constantly show me traumatic stuff or show me traumatic videos or show me traumatic content just to keep me on edge and just to keep me upset. Have some type of rhyme or reason behind it. Tell me what's the next plan of action. If you want to show me a police officer whooping on somebody, tell me his badge number. Tell me who we need to call. Tell me there are particular pages, and they are very popular pages, and they are respected pages, who are constantly all day long. They are just giving murder porn, police brutality porn, racist porn. I ain't beat. And I don't understand. And people constantly sit there. I had to unfollow so many people this week that I have been following for years. And these are my media peers. I had to literally dead them in the water because I see them out here literally living foul. And I'm just like, I don't know. At the end of the day, y'all know I do celebrity news and entertainment. Because the climate has changed and because some real shit is going on out here in these streets, I don't even feel comfortable trying to shove celebrity news and entertainment down y'all throats all day long. I understand that there's a bigger picture at hand. I understand that there are bigger fish we have to fry. So I don't feel comfortable pushing that content down your throat. At the same time, I am not going to bombard you with people showing you white racists calling Black people the N-word. I'm not going to show you Karens running down on people and calling the cops on people all day. I'm not going to show you police brutalizing people at protests and shooting them in the face with rubber bullets. And I struggle with the way I felt about other people doing it, because I'm like, okay, are they creating an awareness, or are they just constantly feeding hysteria? Are they constantly feeding, like, triggering people and pouring salt in the wound all day? Because at this point, it really feels like it's just a constant pouring salt in the wound. So if you follow any sites that are constantly feeding negative images and negative stuff to you all day long without some type of plan of action attached to it, or some type of, okay, so this is what we're going to do, y'all. This XYZ happened, and here's who we can call. Here's the petition to sign, or here's who you blow up. Like, stop it. I don't have to see racist videos all day to know racists are out there running rampant right now. I don't have to see that all day. I really don't. So I just want to say that to my media brothers and sisters, y'all got to do better, because y'all out here living raggedy foul, like trash can foul. All right. So with that being said, I want to move on. I want to talk about George Floyd, there have been some updates with George Floyd. Sorry, I washed my hair today and it's getting super bushy on me. Okay, so there have been some updates in the George Floyd case since the last time we were together last Friday. All 4 police officers have been charged. All 4 police officers have been taken into custody. Derek Chauvin, his charges have been upgraded from 3rd degree to 2nd degree. This is a good thing. I know some people were feeling away that it wasn't 1st degree. So, I was like, okay, well, I know 1st degree includes premeditation. Anytime you're dealing with 1st degree, you have to be able to prove that this person purposefully went out with all intent ahead of time, thinking about it to go kill this person. So with that being said, I was like, all right, so 2nd degree is. So I reached out to one of my friends who is an excellent attorney, who is now a judge, to ask her about the difference between the 2nd degree and the 1st degree. And she wrote back and said, as a lawyer, I would be shocked and probably mad if he charged 1st degree because showing intent is difficult, almost impossible. Trying the 2nd degree is going to be hard enough, but he believes he has enough evidence for that charge. No way can he prove 1st degree without a statement from the officer saying, once I get him on the ground, he's only leaving in a body bag. That's just an example. If you want a chance at a conviction, this is the right charge. So the good news is that they do have the right charges on Derek. I do know that the 3 other police officers were charged with aiding and abetting, and I think their bail is currently set at $750,000, where Derek Chauvin's his bail is set at $1 million the last time I checked. So that's some positive news in the positive direction, but it is definitely not a time to celebrate because we still got a whole lot of work to do to get some justice for George Floyd's family. Now, I find it absolutely strange that you remember the initial autopsy came out. We talked about that, where they said that George Floyd had the initial medical examiner's autopsy report said George Floyd had a lot of pre-existing health conditions that could have been the underlying cause of him dying out there that day. Not the fact that a police officer had his knee on his neck for almost 10 minutes. No, it was the pre-existing conditions. And I'm like, no. So then the family hired Dr. Michael Baden to come in and do a 2nd autopsy. Dr. Michael Baden came back just like we all knew. No surprise here, and said that George Floyd died from asphyxiation, which means it's a fancy word for basically he was strangled. His air supply was cut off to the rest of his body. He was strangled out there on that ground with a knee on his neck. So now I'm looking at the initial medical examiner like, oh, really? So what was going on here? What were you really trying to slip through the cracks? What were you trying to pull off in this whole shindig, trying to talk about this man had pre-existing conditions that was the underlying cause of him dying that day? But here's what's also interesting. I believe it was either last night or the night before, they released the full autopsy report from the medical examiner's office. This is the first one, the shady one, the one who tried to say that George was the cause of his own death. Now they're saying George had COVID-19 at the time of his death. Okay. He was COVID-19 positive at the time of his death. So that's when I actually went like this in front of my computer, because they said that George tested positive for COVID-19 around April 3rd. George passed away on May 25th. So up until this particular case, I have never heard of anybody having COVID-19 for nearly almost 2 months, because we're talking April 3rd, May 3rd, and we were almost at June 3rd. So you're trying to tell me that George Floyd had COVID-19 for 2 months, but he was asymptomatic, and they said that he was persistently positive, which means he's positive and it just won't leave. Now, with all the COVID-19 deaths that we have heard about, all the COVID-19 diagnosis that we have heard about in the news and over the past couple months since COVID shut down the entire world, I have never heard, and it may just be me, and if you guys have heard anything different, please let me know, but I have never heard of anybody saying that they have had COVID-19 for nearly 2 months. So then I was like, well, did he mean antibodies? Because I know that once you have coronavirus and you get over the virus, that you have remaining antibodies. And I know sometimes they were saying they were going to take the plasma from people who had the antibodies because it would help treat other people who were diagnosed or who were currently fighting COVID, but persistent positive for almost 2 months. So you mean to tell me when George Floyd was on that ground fighting for his life, taking his last breaths, begging for his life, and Derek Chauvin had his knee on George's neck, and Derek had his hands in his pocket, and he darn sure didn't have on a mask. So are you telling me now that Derek Chauvin potentially exposed himself to coronavirus? Now, I'm getting ready to dig in my conspiracy theory bag, and I need y'all to bear with me on this because I usually don't go into this bag often because it leaves everybody looking at me like I'm a little bit crazy. But this COVID-19 diagnosis, it's a couple of things. Well, I'll rule out one because the autopsy said, although George Floyd was persistent positive of COVID-19, they do not believe it was a contributing factor to his death because, they already tried to blame that on the hypertension and his arteries and all that other good stuff. But why, of all things, to highlight? Okay, let me back up. Conspiracy theory. You do know that since COVID-19 hit the streets, since it hit the streets like Freaknik, anybody who has died during the time of the quarantine or when COVID really popped off because we were totally unprepared because we have an incompetent head in chief, commander in chief, or whatever you want to call him, Chief Cheeto, whatever. But ever since coronavirus really, really hit and caught the attention of the world, anybody who died, they smacked COVID-19 label on them. Boom. You could have had breast cancer and passed away. They'd be like, COVID-19, smack it on there. Boom. So I'm like, did they smack this COVID-19 diagnosis on George's autopsy report just because we're supposed to still be in a pandemic and it's easy to smack the label on there and throw him into the statistics? That was my first thought. My second thought was, do we put a COVID-19 on his autopsy report to, hey, y'all, don't forget, Corona's still hot in these streets? Is that another angle? Because right now, with all the Black Lives Matter protests going on, with all the police brutality going on, with all the names of people who have died from police brutality at the hands of law enforcement, with all of that coming back up and swelling and having the streets in the block hot, somebody got to be like, hey, we still need to keep everybody scared. So let's take the one man who the entire world is fighting for, is concentrated on, the one man that the entire world is focused on right now. Because y'all, they protesting in Paris, they protesting over yonder, and they protesting back there too. So let's take the one man that the entire world is looking at right now and say he had COVID-19 so we can catch their attention again, because apparently everybody forgot that we're supposed to be in a pandemic. They forgot that we're supposed to be social distancing, but they're doing protests. So maybe if we say George had COVID-19, then we can scare everybody into being nervous again about going down to the protest, or maybe their mask may not work. So they'll go back in the house and it'll be easier for us to get calm back in the streets and get back to our regularly scheduled program of killing Black folks for nothing. I don't know. I just be thinking too deep. Maybe I need prayer. But I just thought that was so odd. It was just so odd. Maybe if y'all didn't tell me he was diagnosed on April 3rd, then maybe y'all could have got it off on me. But the fact that y'all said he was diagnosed on April 3rd, but he died on May 25th, and now y'all doing the autopsy and saying that he was still persistently positive. So that COVID just ain't want to let go of George. It said, I ain't letting go of you. Is that what happened? It just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's not adding up to me. So I'm sorry for dumping my conspiracy theory off on y'all, but that COVID-19, that thing threw me for a loop because I was like, oh, y'all really reached back down in the bag to get our attention and shift our attention to the left. Because it's almost like, hey, y'all, don't forget COVID-19's over here. Because I've seen a few articles that said, oh, such and such state, and such state has seen spikes since the streets have opened back up and since protests have started taking place. But don't nobody care. Our focus is here. We're not studying COVID. We ain't studying all this other stuff. We ain't studying that president dude out there talking reckless. We are focused. We are focused on getting justice. We are focused on change, racial equality, social justice. We are focused. But I'm just saying, they was like, hey, throw COVID-19 back in the mix to get our attention. The other night I was on YouTube and I saw a vlogger on YouTube and I was like, oh, and I saw that she was talking about George Floyd and I was like, oh, let me go in and see what she's saying, because I'm really trying to, just keep my eyes and ears open to a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the way people are feeling and so on and so forth. And I went in and as soon as I clicked and it opened up, she was like, yeah, because George was a sacrifice because he was a Freemason. Click up. I went right out. Y'all, that's not what we're going to do. That's really not what we're going to do. I understand, and I know I don't have no right to tell y'all that's not what we're going to do after I just dropped my whole conspiracy theory on people. But that conspiracy theory is outside of George. That is people using George's name and trying to attach something to it. To disparage this man or to disrespect this man and or his family by attaching rumors and conspiracy theories and saying that he was part of a sacrifice because he knew Derek Chauvin and they actually worked together at some point in time. You really should be ashamed of yourself. And I really, really try my best not to hop in people comments or hop in people lives and start talking to them reckless and talking to them crazy because I don't want people to do that to me. But I treated her just like I treated everybody else. Got her the hell up out of here. Sorry, boo. Now's not the time. Now is not the time. And it's so crazy how I put forth all the effort within my soul and body to give y'all the most accurate information, and people will argue me down about it all day long. But if I come and tell y'all that this man was a sacrifice with some satanic cult or some foolishness, y'all would be like, word. You know what? I was wondering because one of them tattoos, I couldn't quite make it out, girl. Why we like that? Why we can't do better? Why we can't, when we see something, I want all of my ICC friends. I don't care about everybody else's friends. I'm talking directly to my ICC friends. When y'all see something that make your head do this, promise me you will take 1 second just to Google it. Just to Google it. And if you cannot find one reputable source, and that's the key word, reputable, because now I'm finding that one site can put out some nonsense and everybody else would pick it up and repost it, reshare it, rewrite the story without fact checking. That's how everybody thought that Derek Chauvin's wife and Looking Ass Style was brothers and sisters, because one site, and they do, let me tell y'all, and I think we talked about this before, there are websites that are created with the sole purpose of making and creating fake stories. Because if they can make the story outrageous enough to catch your attention, to get you emotionally involved or emotionally attached to the point where you start sharing like, y'all come look at this mess right here. Every click, they will make dollar on top of dollar on top of dollar. They're getting rich off of your outrage. They're getting rich off of bamboozling you. Don't get bamboozled. It literally takes 1 second. And I cram to understand why I get challenged all day long. But if I tell you that Princess Tiana really did kiss a frog, and the frog was a Ninja Turtle who was a Freemason who sacrificed the big bad wolf because Goldilocks was a hoe on the block, y'all would be like, word. I had a feeling because, anybody named Goldie, like that's tied to like the pimps and stuff. I had a feeling. You are so right. Y'all, please just take an extra second, take an extra moment. I do it. That's why some of my content comes out so slow. When them other sites are just dumping. That is why my content come out so slow, because I try to research it. And every so often I get got, or every so often I get caught out there, and I will admit if I'm wrong. I will, because I can't stand anything worse than being loud and wrong. And when I am loud and wrong, y'all, I go sit in timeout for a little bit. I really do. I go sit in timeout. So back to the subject at hand, George Floyd. His first memorial service was on Thursday. To my knowledge, he is going to have either 3 or 4 memorial services. And kudos to Floyd Mayweather, because Floyd Mayweather has committed to covering the cost of all of George Floyd's memorial services and or funeral services, depending on what you like to call it. Well, the first memorial service took place on Thursday in Minneapolis. And y'all, I know I run a celebrity news and entertainment based site, but at the same time, there are certain times that I don't want to see no celebrity. Okay. At the protests, if a celebrity comes to the protest, that is fantastic. That is awesome. I salute that particular celebrity for going out there and getting in the streets with their people and doing their part. I love it. But stop taking the shift off of the protest to say, oh, y'all, Steph Curry was in the streets of LA today, him and Aisha. Ray J pulled up to one protest in a drop top. Everybody like, get out the car. Y'all losing focus. It's not about who comes out to these protests of who's a celebrity. At the same time, they need to get out there just like anybody else who is out there. That is cool. But stop taking the focus away from the fight. Stop taking away from the purpose of why everyone is out there to focus on this one particular celebrity. It's people who've been protesting all week long. And then the first time you decide to share a picture of a protest is because Ray J came. Or Kanye showed up in Chicago. It's not about Kanye. It's not about Ray J. It is about getting justice for all of these lives that have been lost. All these hashtags we are continually posting. All these fights for justice because the police officers are still going home, sleeping in the bed at night with their families like they ain't did nothing wrong. So my thing is, stop shifting the focus to these celebrities. And I know this sounds crazy because I got an entertainment and celebrity news based site, but let me tell y'all a secret. I only wanted an entertainment based website. The only reason why I included celebrities is because I know people love celebrities so much. Celebrities are my breadcrumbs. Celebrities are the breadcrumbs that I get people to come to the site. And then once they're there, they can see everything that I have to offer. If I could eliminate celebrities from my website, I sure would. But anytime that I fall back from posting celebrities, my engagement go down, my views go down, my traffic go down, my money go down, because we live in a society that thrives and loves celebrities so much. But at the same time, and to the point that sometimes we lose focus on the fact that they are human beings just like we are. So let's not lose. I commend every single person who goes out to protest. I commend every single person who puts themselves at risk, because at this point in the game, when you go to a protest, you are putting your life on the line, because police are out here at the protest, still brutalizing people, putting holes in their heads with rubber bullets and beating them down with their batons and spraying them in the face with all type of chemicals and carrying on. They have no regard for life. And it doesn't even dawn on them that these people are here fighting against the very thing I'm doing at the protest. I have one question in all of this. Who is policing the police? Don't worry, I'll wait. Who's policing the police? We're having protests because you're brutalizing us, and you're brutalizing us at the protest. Who's policing the police? So anyway, George Floyd, let's rewind. Memorial service on Thursday. Reverend Al Sharpton delivered an awesome eulogy. I'm sitting at my desk because the TV is actually here, but my desk is here. I'm sitting at my desk working, and I got it on the TV, and I'm watching, and I'm working, and I'm watching, I'm working. I was like, wow, like he is delivering this eulogy. Come through, Reverend Al Sharpton. I call him Bobblehead Sharpton because after he lost the weight, you know, Al Sharpton is funny to me. So he delivers this fantastic eulogy that literally could set the world ablaze. Just, as far as like just igniting the fire to keep fighting for change, right? And then at some point in time, he decides it's time to start giving shout outs at a memorial service. Now, have I ever seen shout outs at a memorial service before? Absolutely. Dignitaries, clergymen, family members. Never have I ever, at a funeral service for a man who was slain by police, never have I ever seen shout outs for the celebrities who were in attendance. Not the celebrities that George grew up with. Not that George was a celebrity and these were his peers and these were his friends and these were people that he kicked it with, you know, chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool. No, these are just celebrities who came out to pay their respects. And the next thing I know, it's shout out time. I was literally waiting for the hip hop Harry. Go, go, go. Who's next? Kevin Hart. Go, 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 go. Who's next? Ludacris. Go, go. We're doing shout outs. And after he did the first two shout outs, I said, this thing about to go terribly wrong. This is about to go terrible. I could feel it. My spidey senses was telling me this thing about to go terribly wrong. Because here's the thing. Kevin Hart specifically asked that man not to acknowledge him. Now, was Kevin being modest, or was that a look? Now, don't tell nobody I'm here, but I'm gonna be on the front row just in case. I don't know, because you know sometimes Kevin Hart is kind of hard to read. I mean, I thought he was a good, faithful husband. I don't know. Sometimes I read the room wrong. Okay. With that being said, the shout outs. First thing that really got me was when the celebrities came in, they sat them on the front row at the memorial service. And I was like, okay, all right. Because if it was really about Floyd and really about just coming there and paying respects, and you know that because you are a celebrity, you will draw a lot of attention to yourself. I'm just going to tell you what I would do if I was a celebrity, because the Lord knew better than to make me a celebrity. But I would come in quietly, catch a seat in the middle or in the back. And after the service, I would go up to the family, pay my respects, be out. Y'all, they paraded the line of celebrities to the front row and sat them on the front row. George Floyd's family is on this pew, and the celebrities are on this pew. That's why I was home, because the Lord knew better than to let me be involved in that. That's why I was home. And I said, okay, all right. So, okay, let me just, hey, they're there to pay their respects. That's cool. Even though they didn't know about Floyd till I knew about Floyd, but that's cool. They came out to pay their respects. Well, then Al Sharpton goes, Kevin Hart here, Ludacris here. Who else? Who was it? Tyrese is here. And Tyrese was dressed like a Black Panther, like literally a Black Panther. Like he was about to go outside and get some true ass straightening. But here's the mile, and Tyrese will always go the extra. But anyway, so Tyrese comes in dressed like a Black Panther, dressed like Huey Newton, ready to get some straightening. So he come, he's all like, and they stand up, and now people are clapping for them and applauding them at a funeral service. Okay, all right, that's what we're doing. Okay, that's what we're doing. All right, so he goes, Kevin Hart, Ludacris, Tyrese, Will Packer, T.I. And as he gets ready to move forward, I see Will Packer pointing at Tiffany, and they're like, oh, you forgot Tiffany. And Tiffany's just sitting there. She got her mask on. She just sitting there, and, people are pointing, and then people in the congregation starts yelling out names of other people who are there that he should say they there too. So then you go, oh, hold on. Now you have disorder in the middle of a memorial service for a man who was slain by the police, and the whole world has been flipped upside down for him. But you started a shout out. And see, that's why I don't like doing shout outs, because I have my ICC friends that I am very, very close with. And I have my acquaintance ICC friends, and I have ICC friends that I am learning. But if every time I came on here, I would only shout out the ICC friends that I am very, very close with, and you be in this chat every week and be like, she ain't gave me no shout out yet. And I'll be up in this thing listening to her babble and be a chatty patty for an hour every Friday night. I'm finna go somewhere else. Or you'll have people, give me a shout out, and then I got to start hollering out everybody's name. And before you know it, I have one whole hour of just yelling out people's names. But anyway, I'm still not at a memorial service. So then Benjamin Crump comes up. Al Sharpton done moved on to the next. Benjamin Crump comes up and taps Reverend Al to let him know he forgot Tiffany. And then he was like, oh, Tiffany here. So he gives Tiffany a shout out. Hold on, y'all. I forgot to put Tiffany picture up. Let me put Tiffany picture up. So he gives Tiffany a shout out. And, he gives her this grandiose shout out, I guess, to make up for the fact that he overlooked her. Okay, cool. Tiffany's sitting there, whatever. Rest of the service goes on. They get to the point where they're going to do the 8-minute and 46-second moment of silence in honor of George Floyd. Reverend Al Sharpton goes, hey, I need another, Tiffany, come on up here. Because, I was disrespectful for overlooking her. I don't want her talking about me. So a memorial service, Reverend Al Sharpton called Tiffany on stage to appease her and to put her at ease, just in case she felt a way about being overlooked initially. Do y'all understand why this made me feel a way? Because in that moment, in the moment from the shout outs, in the moment of him saying, oh, Tiffany, you come on up on stage, because I disrespected her. Because see, when I was sitting at my computer, I thought he said she done called me disrespectful. And I got hot, because I'm like, oh, how's she gonna call the man disrespectful? I was like, she called the man disrespectful because he didn't pay attention to her. And then I put up a post, and then I said, hold on, let me go back and watch it one more time. And I went back and watched it, and he said he called himself disrespectful. So then I had to go take my post down and tell y'all that I was loud and wrong, and I'm sorry I was loud and wrong. But he said, come on up here. So because I disrespected you, and I don't want you talking about me later in one of your interviews or stand-ups. Y'all done took the whole shift away from George and made it about shout outs and made it about you done left Tiffany out. But social media, apparently social media must have caught the same vibe that I caught the wrong way the first time, because by the time the funeral service was over, Tiffany Haddish was trending on social media. Y'all, I don't know what it is that people have with Tiffany, or what the disdain is that people have for Tiffany, but any opportunity to drag Tiffany will be executed to the fullest extent of dragging. So when that whole incident happened, because depending on your way of thinking, because the way Al Sharpton conducted himself would give you the impression that Tiffany felt a way about not being acknowledged, when I never saw Tiffany say anything about not being acknowledged. It was all Al. Al started the shout outs. Al started calling out folks, missing folks. Al got the people in the pews hollering out names. All this was initiated by Al. Al is the one who, now it's over, he done double back around again and pulled her up on stage to make sure she wasn't mad at him. So that gave, if you don't like Tiffany, you're going to interpret that in the worst way possible. And then people started attacking Tiffany and saying that she was in her feelings over a shout out. She made it all about her. And they went in and dragged her. And it was a trending topic on social media. So I came back and I wrote a post about it. And I said, Tiffany Haddish is trending on social media over a shout out at George Floyd's memorial service. Well, a few folks came after me because they felt as if, and I know reading comprehension don't work for everybody. I do know that, because there's been a couple times that my reading comprehension has failed me. That's why I always try to read something more than once. I know reading comprehension is a lost art. And I know most times people do this. I'm going to read the headline. Oh, I know exactly how I feel about this. And I'm going to go to the comments and tell you how I feel about it. They don't read the post, because if you read the post, not once did I ever put blame in Tiffany's lap. People don't read. They read the headline, they look at the image, and they come into the comments to tell me how trash I am and how I ain't shit for starting up this stuff about Tiffany. That's not what it's about. I feel like I need to explain this, and I hate when I feel like I need to explain myself, but it is very important for me for my ICC friends to know where I stand and what I stand on, and my principles and my integrity. When I post stories on my site, it is only FYI for your information. In most cases, I don't tell you how I feel about a particular situation until I get into the comments on my socials, or until I get on here on Friday night. I do my very best. Unless it's something that's just outright egregious, for the most part, I will keep my personal opinions to myself until we get here on Friday night to do our powwow, chitty bang bang. Or I will get on the comments on my social medias and tell you how I feel about it there. But I have a job. When I tell you somebody got killed, do y'all automatically assume that I'm happy about it, or this is what I wanted? Well, if I'm telling you about something like a murder, then if I'm telling you Tiffany getting dragged on social media, that don't mean I joined in on the dragging. I am telling you, this is what is happening right now. So when you hear people saying, child, you heard about what happened to Tiffany? If you read my site, you could say, yes, ma'am, I heard about it. And this is how I feel about it, because I always lay everything out right there for you. I lay it all out for you. There's no guessing involved when you read a post on Ice Cream Conversations. No guessing involved whatsoever. I told you what happened. I actually included video of the memorial service so you could watch the whole memorial service if you wanted to and see it for yourself. I actually told you at what point in the video of the memorial service that Al Sharpton started giving shout outs, in case you were short for time and you didn't have to watch the entire service. You don't have time, So I told you exactly where the shout outs began, so you can go right there to it and see it for yourself. I showed you the tweets and what people were saying so that you could take all of that information and walk away and draw your own conclusion. But no, I had people telling me that I'm focused on the wrong thing. I'm doing anything to disparage George Floyd. Hold on, we're going to do the math on that one, because I'm sitting here telling y'all I don't like shout outs, and I don't feel like shout outs should have been done at his memorial service, but I'm disparaging George. Did you see this girl over here talk about he was a sacrifice? You over here talking to me about I'm disparaging George? No, I'm not. I'm telling you that this is a prime example of why shout outs have no place at a memorial service. Shout out his mama. Shout out Jesus. I don't need to know T.I. there. I don't need to know Luda. I don't need to know Will Packer there. Is Will Packer making a film about George Floyd? Oh, he's not? Okay. And I love me some Will Packer. And Will Packer is an ICCer. But what I'm saying is I'm using him as an example. What is the purpose to be yelling out these people's names? George ain't know these folks. He was at home watching them on TV just like we was. Or looking at their movies just like we were. He didn't even have a personal relationship with these people. I appreciate them taking the measures to show their love and appreciation and respect for George and his family, and show that we are here, we support. Although I'm famous, although I'm busy, I came here today to show that I care about this man and this family. But again, I say, had there not been any shout outs at this funeral service, memorial, because excuse me, somebody checked me on that too. I'm sorry, y'all, my hair is frizzing up. So, someone checked me on that too, that it was a memorial service. It wasn't a funeral. So excuse me, I stand corrected. It's not a funeral. It's a memorial service. Okay. So had there not been any shout outs at the memorial service, Kevin Hart wouldn't have been embarrassed after asking not to call his name out. Tiffany wouldn't have been left out. Tiffany wouldn't have been called up on stage for a second time, because if Al Sharpton had left it alone the first time, we might would have forgot about it by the end of the service. But he brought it back around again to bring it back to our forefront of attention. And it wouldn't have resulted in Tiffany getting dragged on social media again. Dragged again. People talking about how not funny she is, how corny she is. She's a coon. She's stupid. She's an embarrassment to Black people. The time she brought chicken on the red carpet, so on and so forth. All of that could have been avoided if you had simply stayed focused on the task at hand and stayed focused on the focus, which was George Floyd. But at the same time, while I appreciate Al Sharpton, because the other day I was really literally thinking about, our leaders, the leaders of the Black community, and how many we have and how many we don't have. And I really appreciate Al Sharpton, and whether or not you agree with everything that he does or says or does, or how he conducts himself. At the same time, I will always respect Al Sharpton, because you can go back 2, 3 decades, maybe even 4. And anytime something jumped off him and it had something to do with the disparagement of Black folks, Al Sharpton was front and center. A lot of people, including my great-grandmom, always felt like Al Sharpton was front and center because he liked attention. But the fact remains is that he was on the front line every time. He was on the front line every time. So for that, I will always have a certain reverence for him. But at the same time, at the same damn time, Al Sharpton had his own people videotaping him walking into the funeral service. Reverend Al, we know you there. We know you're going to be there, and we know you there. You delivering the eulogy. Why do you have video cameras? And you ever see someone on Instagram and their friend taping them, and then you hear the friend go, and then they start walking? That was literally the video. And I'm like, Reverend Al, you are at a memorial service. Chill. We don't need the pomp and circumstance. We don't need the video of you walking in, and we know you there. He looked like an Instagram model walking into the memorial service. And because I saw that behavior, it led me to be like, okay, well, if he was doing this, got off the private jet, shout out to who gave him the private jet? Oh, shout out to Tyler Perry for the private jet so I could get to the service. Bruh. Rev. You could have easily. Rev. Tyler Perry did not get on any social media and say, I gave a private jet to Reverend Al Sharpton for him to go to that memorial service. You know why? Because Tyler Perry does everything from his heart. It is rare that you will catch Tyler Perry like blowing up his own spot. It's rare. When he went and paid for all them groceries for people, he didn't get on social media and say, hey, y'all, I paid for some groceries this morning. I just want to make sure y'all give me my props. I bought groceries this morning for elderly people. Hey, y'all, that couple that was being detained down in Mexico and they wouldn't let them leave. Yeah, I paid for them to get released. I paid the money that the hospital wanted for them. Remember the couple when the couple got sick, I think on a cruise, and they had the husband or somebody had to be treated at the hospital, and then the Mexicans, well, not the Mexicans, that sounds real crazy. The Mexican government or the Mexican hospital or whatever wouldn't let them leave until they paid the hospital bill in full. Bruh, I got $100 in my pocket. I was just planning to go on vacation because my trip's supposed to be all inclusive. You expect me to pay a $45,000 hospital bill because I got sick? Tyler Perry paid that hospital bill and flew their behinds right on back to Atlanta. He didn't get on social media and tell it, but the news got out. I'm pretty sure he has a publicist or whatever who wants us to know the good things that he does. But Tyler Perry is never one to toot his own horn. Jay-Z gave Lee Merritt, attorney Lee Merritt, Jay-Z gave him his private jet so that he could get back down here to Georgia in time for Ahmaud Arbery's, the preliminary hearing for his killers. But a lot of times we don't see these things, and these people get called out. Like people was dragging Jay-Z. They was taking the streets and social media. Jay-Z ain't said nothing. Oprah ain't said nothing. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? You just never know what people are doing behind the scenes. And I had to check myself on that too, because, sometimes I'll be looking around like, it's mighty quiet around here. But at the same time, I think to myself, what if somebody be calling me out like, ice cream Convos ain't did nothing? But y'all don't know that I'm here signing every single petition I could sign, calling every single phone number that come up, making donations to all different fights for justice. So I had to check myself on that and stop looking and trying to check other people on how I feel they need to be acting or what level that they need to be carrying themselves into my satisfaction. No. Because what if people start chin checking me and calling me out, and then I got to start posting screenshots like Virgil. He posted that $50 screenshot and got dragged anyway. So the thing is, as long as people are supporting, I think what we need to do, and I know where it comes from a place of us being so wound up, and we know we need help, and we think we give all our attention and love and money and support to these celebrities. So when we need them the most, they need to step up. And I get that logic. But at the same time, it's like, you can't say what they're not doing because we don't necessarily know what they're doing in the space of their own homes. Because at the same time, I'm inclined to believe if they got online like, okay, so today I did this and today I did that. Look at his ass. He always bragging. Go sit down somewhere. It ain't about you and what you did today. So it's almost, in some cases, it's like you can't win for losing. You really can't win for losing. So those are just some things I had to check in myself, because I'm not acting like I didn't have those thoughts. I'm not acting like I wasn't scrolling down people feeds like, okay. So, that's just something that I had to check on myself. But just be clear, Tiffany, to my knowledge, I didn't see Tiffany. I don't know if she was the person that was yelling from the audience. I don't know, because I couldn't see her mouth. She had a mask on. So I can't sit here and say Tiffany was the person who yelled, "You forgot me," because people started yelling from the audience. But what I'm saying is, all of this never would have happened if the shout outs hadn't started. Imagine being a family member, you at a funeral for someone you love dearly, and their life was snatched right in front of your eyes, and the videotape is playing over and over again. The photos are circulating all over the media, and you get to his memorial service, and the preacher who delivered the eulogy start giving shout outs to celebrities who came. Imagine as a family member, imagine how that would make you feel. I'm telling y'all right now, when King Jesus or Uncle Charles come get me, whoever get here first, when they come get me and carry me to the crossroads, ain't nobody getting no shout outs at my funeral. I'm going to have a list. It's going to be like a VIP party. I'm going to have a list of who even allowed to come in, because I don't want nobody taking my demise as a platform for their tomfoolery. I just ain't gonna do it. I just ain't gonna do it. So y'all just think about that. But, say a prayer for Tiffany, because even though there are times where I feel like Tiffany is not funny at all, she's still a human being and she still has feelings. And imagine coming out of a funeral service, opening up social media to see what's going on and to find out you getting dragged for something somebody else did. So I'm sorry, Tiffany, but I needed to be clear. Just because I report a story to you, if it's trending on social media, it's a big story, I'm going to share it. That don't necessarily mean that I think Tiffany did something wrong. And, I challenge y'all, go further than the title. It's so much more, like, just go further than the title. You'll be surprised what's behind the title. Just go further than the title. And I had people in the comments like, somebody tell me what happened. I ain't clicking. I usually block them and then they call me or email me like, ice cream. For some reason, I can't comment on your page no more. I don't know what's going on. I'll be like, oh, I don't know either, girl. Sorry. Oh no. I'll forward this to my IT team and see what they can find out for you. All right. So George Floyd. Now let's go to Ahmaud. I want to talk about Ahmaud because we also have some updates in the Ahmaud Arbery case. The preliminary hearing for Ahmaud Arbery was held yesterday for the McMichael murderers and for William Roddy Bryan. And y'all, I watched as much as I could because, of course, I had to run some errands with my girls and my daughters, rather, because I don't want y'all to think, your girls, you ain't social distancing. My daughters. I had to run some errands, but I tried to stream it through my phone and it just didn't turn out the way I needed it to. But with that being said, I watched as much of the preliminary hearing as I could. And y'all, the information that came out during that preliminary hearing, it was bad enough. Just seeing that little clip of that video that I saw of Ahmaud's murder. But watching that preliminary hearing and getting the additional details of what happened to him that day, it left something tarnished on my soul. It really left something tarnished on my soul. Let me just run down a few things that I actually can remember off top. First things first, the McMichael murderers did not show, they were not in court, of course, because, the court is still taking COVID precautions, but I guess their attorney tried to earn some brownie points by asking if they could actually, you know what? I'm looking around. Hold on. I was looking for a hair tie because this situation is getting out of hand. Because I don't want to be that person that keep messing with my hair the whole time. I'm sorry, y'all, but it's swelling up and it's itching me. Yes, baby. Oh, please hold. You can throw it. Oh, thank you. Okay, so the preliminary hearing was held. Oh, that might be even worse. Was held yesterday. I tuned in and I found out some things that were even more disturbing than. Okay, never mind. That was even worse. Sorry. Some things that were disturbing, very disturbing. Okay, so the murderers, their attorney tried to earn some brownie points by asking if they could attend in court. And the judge was like, no. And then William Roddy Bryan, his attorney was like, oh, he waived his rights anyway. He wasn't trying to come. So that's where we were. So the McMichael murderers attended the hearing virtually. And they had on their little redneck Sunday clothes, I expect. And they had their little COVID-19 mask on, and they attended the hearing virtually. But here's what I learned that I didn't personally know. And some of you may have known already. So just, bear with me if I start repeating things that you already know. But, we already know that the McMichaels claim that they thought Ahmaud was the person responsible for the string of burglaries in their neighborhood. Okay, so they see Ahmaud, I guess, apparently after he had come out of this home that was under construction. And so the McMichaels, Travis and Gregory, they grabbed their gun. They grabbed their handgun and a shotgun. They hopped in their pickup truck and they started trying to pursue Ahmaud. Now, Ahmaud was actually jogging out of the neighborhood when the pursuit began, but the McMichaels drove down, tried to block him in, which prompted Ahmaud to turn around and run in the opposite direction, which takes him back into the neighborhood. So as they are following him in pursuit, Roddy claims that he was on his porch doing some porch work. That sounds so country. Doing some porch work. He sees the pursuit. He yells to them, "Y'all got him?" And apparently they didn't got him. So Roddy stops his porch work and hops in his pickup truck to help in the pursuit. Now, mind you, I would be remiss if I did not take note and mention that William Roddy Bryan, was the same piss poor haircut having ass man who sat up next to his attorney during a press conference because he wanted the GBI to clear his good name because he had no wrongdoing in this situation. Define good name. You was on your porch, minding your Beverly Hillbilly business. You saw them in pursuit of this young man, yelled out, "Y'all got him?" Apparently you ain't got him. So I'm going to jump in my pickup truck and I'm going to hop in the chase too. So basically now Ahmaud has he has one truck behind him trying to chasing him, trying to cut him off. And then he has Roddy done jumped in his truck. He done came down here and he done cut Ahmaud off again. So when Ahmaud runs down and Roddy is cutting Ahmaud off, Ahmaud runs, I think he tries to run either past the truck or whatever. Roddy hits Ahmaud with his truck. He hits Ahmaud with his pickup truck. I had never heard that before. He hit Ahmaud with his truck. They said that there were cotton fibers on the back. There was a hand swipe on Roddy's truck. So you know when somebody about to hit you, you put your hand out to kind of protect yourself. So there was a hand swipe. Ahmaud's hand swipe was on the back of Roddy's truck. Cotton fibers from his shirt was on the truck, and there was a dent below the cotton fibers. He hit Ahmaud with the truck. Ahmaud turns around and runs back in the opposite direction. And that's where the video picks up. And we see the McMichaels at the end of the street trying to block Ahmaud off again. And that is where the video picks up with Roddy videotaping. Because remember, we were all like, well, who videotaping? And how did he know the videotape? Remember, I asked y'all that? How did he know the videotape? Because he was videotaping the whole thing because he was in on it. So he was videotaping, and that is the moment that we saw where Ahmaud made contact with Travis McMichael. Travis McMichael hopped out the car, shot him with his shotgun. He shot him twice in the chest, I think like once in the wrist, because Ahmaud was literally trying to fight the gun, like fight for his life and get the gun away from Travis. But y'all, after Ahmaud realized he had been shot twice, and his life was slipping away from him, and he turned around and made one last ditch effort to try to run and just collapsed to the ground. Do y'all know Travis McMichael stood over that man, that young king, and called him a effing N-word? Okay. And guess who told that? Roddy. Because it's always one in the crew. I'm going to tell you right now, Roddy is on his Tekashi 6ix9ine. And Roddy is going to tell everything he know all the way down to who Travis done had a baby with in his family to get off of these charges. Roddy out here telling on everybody. He's telling it. He is telling. He the one who told that Travis stood over the body, called him an effing N-word. He the one that told that they already had racist stuff going on. So the video that we saw was not necessarily edited. It was the short version of the video, because the video that the authorities and the GBI has, it's an extended video. The public only got the last clip. The video is much longer. I still question because, and help me if y'all have the information and for some reason it just missed me. How did the video get out? Like, were they passing it around? And then somebody dropped the dime and put it, and sent it on over to the police? Because based off of how they act, how they behave, Travis got all kind of racial slur and ignorant racist stuff all over social media. Travis said he loved his job because it ain't a bunch of N-words there. So they racist been racist since racist was racist. So there's no surprise there. But do you know one of their attorneys had the nerve to stand up in court and say, well, he did use the N-word, but racist language is common in the South. Yeah, it's common in the South with racists. It is very common in the South with racists. It's common. That is the way. Oh, and William Roddy, Brian's attorney, actually had the nerve to say when he saw the McMichaels in pursuit of Ahmaud, he did what any good patriotic American would have done, and he joined in to try to apprehend said thief in their neighborhood. Okay. It's a different day and time, y'all. The good news is that, number one, the Department of Justice is now investigating this situation as a hate crime, because now that you done dropped the N-word standing over that young king's body, baby, we talking hate crime now. You don't let your mouth write a check that your ass can't cash. Now the Department of Justice is investigating this as a possible hate crime. At the same time, the judge did rule that all three of those fools got to stand trial for the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. Unbelievable. His mom had to get up and walk out, and she did not come back in, and I don't blame her. Because based off of the timeline and based off of the events, they literally hunted that child and killed him. He running this way, they block him. He turn around, he run back up this way, they block him. He run back down, and they shoot him 2 times in the chest with a shotgun. And then had the nerve to try to tell authorities it was self-defense. But when the police was doing their preliminary investigation, they darn sure found a Confederate flag sticker right on the little toolbox inside the truck. Explain that away. Oh, I know. Confederate flag, Southern pride. Yeah, we know. Sure, we know. Yeah, we know. Yeah. So those are the updates that I have for the Ahmaud Arbery case. The good news is that they have been arrested, they have been charged, but we still have a long way to go to get a conviction. We are here in Georgia, so anything is possible. But I do not want Roddy to snitch his way out of this. Roddy has to be held accountable. That man need to go to jail too, because y'all had proof that they hit Ahmaud with his truck in an effort to block him in. He need to go to jail too. I don't care what they talking about. He need to go to jail. All right. But, let me know your thoughts on that. So let's get to some apologies. The apology tours were thick this week. First thing first, Trina, the baddest bid became the saddest bid this week. Trina hopped on the Miami airwaves on her morning show with Trick Daddy. And with all due respect, I knew that morning show was a bad idea when they got it. But she hopped on that morning show and started talking about how protesters are animals and they this and they that, they just tearing up people, and they black people don't even care about black people. Her brother was killed by another black man. And the thing was, Trina was talking. You could tell she was talking from a place of anger. You could tell she was frustrated. You could tell she was hurt. You could tell she was angry. But all of those things still does not excuse her talking out the wrong side of her neck and talking reckless and talking crazy about protesters. Yes, we have several different protesters who are out and about protesting right now. You have peaceful protesters who are focused on the cause at hand. You know, we are down here because we want change. We are focused. No Roger, no rerun, no rent. We down here, we focused. We want change, and we are going to do it peacefully. You got another set of protesters. You got the protesters that's, listen, I tried all that peaceful stuff, the last 10 hashtags we had, but this time I'm coming with a different energy. I ain't trying to hear it. I'm mad. I'm raging. And if I happen to tear something up or burn something down, oh, well, too bad. So sad. Then you have another element of protesters. You have another element of protesters that was like, oh, they down there protesting? Are they by the Target? Because I need a new rug for my bedroom. Oh, they are? Okay. Okay, I'm on my way. Let me get my mask. You have some people who take advantage of the protests to do whatever it is that they want to do. Hey, I'm here to get whatever I need. I'm just going to pick up a few little items that I'm going to put on eBay a little later and make some money since my stimulus check has not come in yet. So that's just what I'm going to do. And then you have another element of protesters, the ones who probably don't even know why we're here, but I just want to come down here and tear some shit up because I just like tearing stuff up. And if I could tear stuff up in the name of justice and inequality, then that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to come down and tear some stuff up. And then you have the co-ops. You have the co-ops who don't care about nothing more than just coming down, agitating, tearing up stuff. You know, I'm going to spray paint Black Lives Matter on the side of this building while I kiki and chit chat with police officers who are instructing me to add George Floyd's name to it. Don't forget, you got to put George Floyd's name. So when people come back through and look and see, they're going, oh, some black folks did that because it got George Floyd's name on it and Black Lives Matter. So there are a number of people at these protests. But for Trina just to bag them all up together and say, oh, those protesters are animals, and I hope they make the curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and I want them off the Miami streets, and I want this and I want that. I'm like, oh, okay, Trina. And it's, you shooting bad when Trick Daddy is the voice of reason. You went too far. You have gone beyond the call of duty. When Trick Daddy is the voice of reason. Trick Daddy was trying to reason with this young lady. Trick Daddy was calm, cool, collected. He like, no, that ain't this, that ain't that. And then Trina took the icing on the cake. When Trick Daddy said, listen, there are some people who get pulled over and get killed. Well, I ain't worried because I got my license and registration. I think that hit me. Like, it was like, you know, in slow motion when you be like, brrr. I just like, oh, she is so canceled. Oh, she about to get cut off like an unpaid light bill. Oh, I'm about to throw her out like yesterday's garbage. Oh, I'm so done. That was the moment for me that I was absolutely, positively, without a shadow of a doubt, done with Katrina. Done. You know why? Sandra Bland had her license and registration. Philando Castile had his license and registration. Are you freaking kidding me? Do you know how many people get pulled over and get killed? Do y'all remember? I can't think of his name right now. And if somebody else could tell me, please, I would greatly appreciate it. Do you remember the man whose car broke down and he was trying to get assistance with his car and the police shot him and killed him while he was trying to get help to get his car fixed? He had license and registration. I said, Trina, you can't be that dumb, but I guess you are, because not only are you saying this out loud, You are saying it across the radio airwaves in Miami. When Trick Daddy is the voice of reason, you have gone far too far. There's no coming back. And so they dragged her behind something terrible. They dragged her by the front and back of her lace front, dragged her through the streets of social media. And I literally sat there like, welp, welp, welp. Oh, retweet, retweet, retweet. That was one dragon. I bought popcorn and a cold pop. I ain't had no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I was sitting right there watching that dragon commence. She earned it. She asked for it. She earned it. Trick Daddy was telling her, and she was like, I got time today. I got time today. And sure enough, by the time she got off them radio airwaves, a petition had been launched. She had been canceled. Kaya created a whole Twitter account just to drag her again. And then 99 Jams, I think it's 99 Jams Miami. We heard what you said. And we heard this, and Trina will be addressing her comments tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. First things first, I don't know Nan that's going to get up 6 o'clock in the morning to hear nothing Trina talk about. I don't know Nan. I don't know Nan. Because I said, listen, I ain't getting up 6 o'clock in the morning to hear Trina come back talking and give her apology. She said it with her whole chest, her diaphragm. She used both lungs, her kidneys, and her liver when she was talking that mess on that radio. I'm not interested. I couldn't care less with Trina. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm shut off at this point. Any further comments you have need to be redirected right back to your own damn self, because I'm not interested. It is what it is at this point. You said what you said. And don't come back and apologize, because now you done got dragged and now your job in jeopardy. You said what you said. Now stand by what you said. So she came back the next day and offered an apology. Did y'all see me post about it? Nope. Because it don't matter. Everybody's sorry after they have consequences. You wasn't sorry, because at no point when Trick Daddy was saying, Trina, no, let's think about what you're saying. Trina. Nah, I know exactly what I'm saying. I'm grown. I got time today. Okay. As soon as you said I got time, that means that you validated the point that you knew exactly what you were saying, and you knew exactly you were ready to deal with the consequences of your words and your actions. So let it be done. But the crazy part is, people gonna be like, oh, it's okay. She says she's sorry. We good. And the Bible says to forgive. And I do forgive, but I don't forget. So my thing is, I'm gonna forgive her, but I ain't gonna forget what she said. Therefore, I ain't effing with her no more. She went from the saddest bit. She went from the baddest bit to the saddest bit. All in the course of one conversation. So you can keep your apology. I'm not interested. But speaking of apologies, let's talk about Big Head Breeze. Drew Brees, that is. Now, I'm not even a football fan, but I knew when he did that interview with Yahoo Finance and they asked him how he felt about NFL players kneeling. And he said, while people are protesting in the streets, he said, 2 weeks after a police officer kneeled on George Floyd's neck and killed him, he said he will never disrespect his flag, and he will never agree or approve of anybody disrespecting his flag. You mean that raggedy ass flag that don't hop down off of no poles and save nobody's lives? That same flag that ain't did nothing to save their black life. That same flag that has not said one peep when black folks been mistreated all these years in these United States of America. You had the audacity, and you said it with your chest too. You were serious. Y'all be so serious about y'all flag. Y'all be so serious about this flag. It's crazy because y'all will love that flag more than you love a human life. Disrespecting the flag. And that goes to show, after everything Colin Kaepernick went through, taking a knee to bring awareness to everything that is plaguing the Black community. Even after Colin took those knees on that field, even after police continue to kill Black men and women in the streets as if their life don't matter, in the midst of protests across the world, you still sat down with your big head ass and talk about disrespect of your flag. At this point, Drew, you need to wave the white flag. Wrap it, call it a wrap. Just let it go. It's over now. Go ahead, turn in your retirement papers, because your offensive line gonna take a nap. Is it defensive line, right? Who protects him? Because y'all know, I told y'all I don't watch football. I be done said, because you know your point guard ain't gonna block him for nothing for you on the field. But I know it's a group of football players that's supposed to protect him as a quarterback, and they're gonna take naps. I do know that much. I might not know what to call them, but I do know what they be doing on the field. But he might as well just go ahead and retire. So then, after getting dragged by everybody, including LeBron James, Drew Brees get on social media and post a picture of a white hand holding a black hand. I said, oh, here we go. Here we go. He done went and got a stock photo of a black hand holding a white hand. Because y'all know you go to the stock thing and offensive line. Okay, I was right. I didn't even trust myself to have it right. I didn't even trust myself to have it right. I did say offensive line. I need credit. Y'all better give me credit. So I said, okay, he done went and got a stock photo of a black hand and a white hand holding hands. He writes this long behind apology. Y'all, I promise on everything I love, I did not read it. I ain't got time. I said, let me go ahead and share it. This one time I ain't even read my own content. I said, let me go ahead and share it. So my ICC friends know he said he's sorry, because I know there are football fans out there. I know who that nation just felt nauseous. Like, Lord Jesus, is this what we going to be doing? Is bad enough. We can't even watch the game. But now you out here embarrassing us out here in these streets. And you know them Atlanta Falcons went up, because y'all know we got a rivalry with the New Orleans Saints. So you know the Atlanta Falcons had a field day with this one. So I was like, okay. So here he go. I didn't even read my own content. I just copy and paste. I couldn't tell you one thing he said in that apology. But then first apology went and I was like, So when I posted it, people was like, oh, it's still F Drew Brees. I was like, oh, okay, that's the energy we on. Okay, that's the energy. Okay, that's the energy we on. I could get with this. Okay. Because I ain't want y'all to fall for the okie doke. Because he said what he meant the first time. He said it with his chest. Well, then, if at first you don't succeed, pick yourself up and try again, because he went and made a video. And this is a screenshot from the video. This is the look he was given. He had a little abrasion to his face. I don't know what happened. Maybe his wife smacked the piss out of him for saying something stupid, but he had a little abrasion on his face. You see, he has the concerned scowl look, like I'm so sorry. And he started talking about how sorry he is, and to his black friends and to the community he hurt and all that. I said, pause. Just share the video, because I know somebody somewhere want to see it, but me in particular, me, myself, and I, that's all I got in the end. That's what I found out. I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry, I don't care. But I don't know much about Drew Brees outside of the fact that I'd just be surprised his helmet could fit. That's all I know about Drew Brees. And I know apparently he is a very good quarterback and he's a very good football player. But when he opened his mouth, it cancels everything else out. So here's how karma works. Because y'all know karma is out here with one of them Louis Vuitton purses that got looted out of the store in New York. Karma is walking around with her looted Louis Vuitton bag. And she still, she's still taking names and got her planner. She know who she need to visit and all that. So Drew Brees first writes an apology after making his comments about disrespecting the flag and players who kneel and blah, blah, blah. That didn't work. So then Drew came back and made a video apology because he was like, he's like, babe, how do I look? She's like, yeah, baby, you look super concerned. He's like, yeah, I'm going to kill him with this one. He was like, this going to be the one. So he makes a video and people are watching the video. And I saw some people in the comments like, oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Drew, your heart seems sincere. I'm willing to forgive you. So he was like, okay, I'm going to give this thing a little minute to marinate. I see I'm wearing them down. And then Donald Trump got on Twitter and said, don't apologize, Drew. Tell them about the flag. Tell them how important no disrespect of the flag will be tolerated. Drew like, man, what the fuck? As soon as you start winning somebody back and then somebody else jump in and start talking all loud and remind people why they should be mad at you. Because see, the thing is, when Drew Brees said that stuff, that's when the pictures of him and his wife and Trump and Melania started popping up because, they double dating and they kicking it in the skybox and all that. And people was like, oh, okay. So all of this makes sense. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, let me screenshot. Got it. Okay. Makes sense. Got it. So when the apology started trying to reel people back in, Trump done jumped out the window like, Drew, no, bro, no. We will not tolerate any disrespect to the flag. I know Drew was like, God, man, shut up. I just got these people to fall for it. You know how long it took me to put that video together and get that abrasion on my face to look battered? Shit. Now, Drew, I wouldn't be surprised Drew put out another video tomorrow, but the other video gonna have his kids in it. Drew have a baby every off season. Well, his wife have him. He plan them, she have them. So he gonna have to come up with another video because now that Trump done co-signed his tomfoolery, he right back at square one. So it is what it is. Sorry, not sorry. I mean, listen, my thing is this. When people say, whenever I get truly upset and truly mad, and this is me on a personal level, sorry. When I get truly upset and truly mad, I get quiet. I go radio silent. And depending on how mad I am, depends on how many days I'm silent. And I go silent for the simple fact that I do not want to say anything stupid, crazy, or out of anger that I have to come back for later and try to explain away, but it's already been said. An apology don't undo the damage. For some, people quickly forget. Okay, he said he's sorry. I ain't one of them people. I will forgive it, but I won't forget it. And the fact that I don't forget it won't allow me to mess with you no more. So my thing is, if you are a type of person that say something crazy out of your mouth when you feel yourself getting right, go radio silent until you calm down so you know you won't say nothing crazy that I'll have to blog about you about later. So Big Head Breeze got his work cut out for him, but I couldn't care less. All right. So let me get myself together for this last story for tonight before I let y'all go. Let me get myself together. All right. Let's talk about bow and arrow Brandon. Well, ICC friends, bow and arrow Brandon went down to the Salt Lake City, Utah protest last Saturday. Apparently, he decided to pledge to be a tribute, to go down and be an agitator for the people who were down there protesting and minding their business in the fight for justice. So Mr. Bow and Arrow Brandon, his name is Brandon McCormick. He is 57 years old. Let me give you a little bit of background on Bow and Arrow Brandon. Bow and Arrow Brandon is no stranger to jail. Okay, he's an ex-felon. He is an ex-felon for the following reasons: attempted burglary in 1993, possession of a substance in 1996, Apparently, he couldn't get over it, so he got another possession of a controlled substance charge in year 2000, another burglary in 2004, theft in 2008, theft again in 2014. He really likes to steal. In totality, he has spent approximately 18 and a half years in jail, but he got out of jail. And instead of going somewhere and sitting his happy ass down, he decided he was sick and tired of hearing folks talk about Black Lives Matter because it's annoying. So he carried his happy ass down to the protest down in Salt Lake City on Saturday. So first things first, he gets down there and apparently he starts yelling out to people that all lives matter in the faces of those who are saying Black Lives Matter. So I'm like, okay, so you decided to go down there and cape for all lives matter. Cool, okay. No surprise. I mean, we've seen it all week long at all the different protests, right? So he gets down there and brandishes a knife, hops out of his car and starts brandishing a knife at protesters who are down there minding their business and trying to threaten and terrorize protesters. Well, he goes back and forth with the protesters and they're like, oh my gosh, he has a knife. And I'm talking about he ain't come down there with a little kitchen knife. He came down there with a machete or something that looks like you'll gut a deer after you go hunting in the summertime. Okay. So after that didn't work, he decides he's going to go to his car, pledge to be a tribute, and pull out his bow and arrow and get his Katniss Everdeen on. Apparently, he thought he was in the Hunger Games. So he pulls out a bow and arrow, literally, at the protest. His bow and arrow, like he in the middle of a damn archery class. He pulls out his bow and arrow. He starts pointing it at several different protesters. And people are like, oh my gosh. And one particular protester is literally screaming, you better not. You better not. So he has it. And at some point in time, somebody sent up the back call. And I was waiting on it. They said, fuck him up. And next thing you know, it was a slew of protesters who swooped down on bow and arrow Brandon and commenced to dropping Fifth Ward Bs on his ass. They beat the brake pads, steering column, rotors, tires, spokes, and anything else that you can think. They beat Brandon's ass, okay? So after they beat Brandon's ass, the police comes over to help Brandon and move him to safety. So they get Brandon, they transport Brandon to a little safe area, and they start treating his wounds because trust and believe, I saw a little Mikey run up with his skateboard. So he really, truly got some straightening. He cracked bow and arrow Brandon's forehead with that skateboard. Anybody else notice that there is a lot of boys at the protest with skateboards? Okay, but anyway. So the police get bow and arrow Brandon over here and they trying to treat his injuries because I'm talking about his forehead is open, okay? So while they're over there treating him, the protesters was like, nah, we ain't done. They flipped Brandon's car over and then set his car on fire. You get what you get and you don't get mad. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So now, not only is his forehead cracked open to the white meat and his car is upside down and set ablaze, he makes his way over to Fox 13 and commences to tell his best white version of a Soulja Boy story. So he gets over there and he talks about how he came down there to the protests to protect law enforcement from the protesters. Sir, for one, have you seen the same videos that I've seen? Because cops are down here brutalizing protesters, shooting them in the head with rubber bullets, cracking their skulls, pushing 75-year-old men down on the ground, beating Black women with batons. But you, bow and arrow Brandon, a career criminal who spent almost 19 years in jail for a variety of charges, from burglary to possession of a controlled substance to theft, decided that you was going to go down to the protest in Salt Lake City, Utah with your knife and your bow and arrow because you're going to protect the police officers from the protesters. I would be remiss if I did not mention that bow and arrow Brandon was also locked up for assaulting a police officer. Oh, so you sound like the dudes who beat their girlfriends up but then go sit next to him in the hospital. Is that what we're doing, Brandon? Okay. So Brandon commences to go over to Fox 13 News to give them the best Soldier Boy story ever. So he talks about how he comes down and he was yelling all lives matter, but he did admit on camera, on the news, live, that he grabbed his weapons and came down to protect the police from the protesters. He said that he yelled all lives matter, and because all lives do matter, he was like, they're good cops and they're all kinds of bad people. Okay. So he also mentioned that he was a career criminal who turned his life around and that his sole purpose for coming down there was to protect the cops, but he was beaten. And after he was beaten, his car was totaled. They took his car, they flipped his car over, and they set it ablaze. So the lady who was back at the station, who I guess is communicating with the news person, she says, ask him if he was inside his car when it happened. Do you know Bow and Arrow Brandon looked at that news reporter dead in the face and said he was sitting in his car and two African-American men came up and started beating him. A lie don't care who tell it. Why you always lying? So even in the midst of caping for all lives matter, coming down to the protest, pulling a knife out, brandishing a knife on protesters, threatening protesters, going to his car, pulling out a bow and arrow and attempting to shoot a bow and arrow at protesters who then swarmed him, protesters of all races and background, swarmed him and mollywopped him, beat the shiznit out of Bow and Arrow Brandon's ass. He went and got on the news and blamed all of that on two black men, two African Americans, beat him up while he was sitting in his car. See, this is why it's very important for us to start videotaping a lot of different things, because this is how he looked when he was giving his Soldier Boy tall tale to the news people. Now, all those people out there beat his ass. I can listen. It was the United Nations of an ass whipping, but you blamed two African-American men and claimed that you were sitting in your car. Please tell me where the part, how you left out the part with you hopping out the car with a knife, going back to your car to get your bow and arrow. Don't worry, I'll wait. So I am pleased to tell you that Bow and Arrow Brandon is currently sitting in a Utah jail, and he is facing 3 felony charges right now. And 9 times out of 10, because of his long rap sheet, we ain't gonna see Bow and Arrow Brandon for a very long time. At this point, it's gonna be all booties matter, because he's gonna have to sleep on his back for a very long time while he's in jail. All of that. I have seen a little bit of everything. I have seen it all. But I also have to let you guys know that Bow and Arrow Brandon is about that life, because at the time that he was arrested, after going down to the protest and pulling out his bow and arrow and pledging to be a tribute in the name of all lives matter, he already had a pending road rage case where apparently somebody cut him off and he followed them and then stopped and pulled them out of their car and then got into a fist fight with them. And then fled the scene. So he's already scheduled to go to court in July for that. But now he is on video with a knife. It damn near is a machete and a bow and arrow. I don't know what century he thought he lived in, because when he pulled out that bow and arrow, I was wondering where Robin Hood and his merry men were. But all I'm going to say is, if you pull out a bow expect to catch them bows, because that's exactly what they did. They mollywopped his ass out there in the streets of Salt Lake City, Utah. I was actually proud of those protesters because they unified on Bow and Arrow Brandon's ass. He gonna learn today. And let Bow and Arrow Brandon be a learning lesson to the rest of y'all who come down to those protests with nothing but the intention of agitating. You can catch these hands. It can happen. You can catch it. You can either come down here and protest peacefully, or you can catch these hands. The choice is yours. Didn't turn out so well for Bow and Arrow Brandon. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Well, ICC friends, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up tonight's chat. I greatly appreciate all of you who came and joined me tonight as we talked about a lot of the hot topics and biggest stories in entertainment and celebrity news. I appreciate all of you so much for your undying support. And I appreciate you guys just coming in and letting me chat and just share my thoughts on some of these stories for about an hour. So be sure to visit icecreamconvos.com to get more information on all of these stories. Be sure to download the ICC app to make sure you do not miss any of the stories. I always send out alerts when I post stories. So if you're busy and you don't happen to be on social media, you can receive a notification to know that a story has broke and that you can get more information. And connect with us on social media. I do have a stock group and I do have an online course if you're interested in learning how to blog. So just reach out to me. Oh, I did one last thing I want to make sure I mentioned. Earlier this week, I had mentioned that I was going to do an ice cream social and that I was looking for some of my ICC friends to join me on the ice cream social. So I have received your emails and I was going to do an ice cream social on Tuesday, but then I realized that Tuesday was the blackout. So I didn't want to do anything during the blackout because, that was supposed to be a day of us, kind of being focused. And yeah, that was that. So I do plan to do one. Hopefully I can get myself together to do it next week, but I didn't want you guys to think I totally forgot about it, or I didn't want you to think you emailed me and I left you hanging. I just decided to, forego it this week because of the blackout. All right. So I will be in touch. Anybody who has emailed me about being a part of the ice cream social, I will start getting back to you. I received way more emails than I expected. So I'm very excited about that. So I love you guys very much. I thank you so much for always being so supportive. I thank you for being so beautiful inside and out. And I thank you for always having my back, good, bad, and ugly. Okay. So take care, be safe, and protect your energy, especially on social media when there are a lot of triggering and heartbreaking things out there right now. I mean, we all are fully aware of what's going on. And just protect your energy and just avoid being triggered to the best of your ability. Okay. So I love you guys very much. Tell somebody about Ice Cream Convos. Okay. All right. Love you guys. Bye.